Today's video is on Exodus chapter 24 and the last few verses here in verses 15 to 18. Here we see that Moses goes up the mountain, the cloud covered it, the glory of the Lord settled on Mount Sinai. For 6 days the cloud covered the mountain, and on the seventh day the Lord called Moses from within the cloud. And then to the Israelites the glory of the Lord looked as a consuming fire on top of the mountain. Then Moses entered the cloud as he went on up the mountain, and he stayed on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. I'm sure there were no dogs on that mountain, but nevertheless the connection between Exodus chapter 24 and the New Testament was what really struck me. The idea of the glory of God, the period of 6 days, and then Moses as the mediator of the covenant. And this of course then relates right then into the New Testament, because on the Mount of Transfiguration, Matthew chapter 17, recorded in Mark 9 and Luke chapter 9, Matthew and Mark both tell us that it was after 6 days. And this directly mirrors the 6-day waiting period before God called Moses from the cloud. We notice also that it was a divine cloud, just as the cloud covered Mount Sinai in Exodus 24 verse 15. A bright cloud overshadowed Jesus and his disciples. In both cases, God's voice spoke from within the cloud to identify the chosen mediator. Again, we see later on in Exodus 34, Moses' face reflected God's glory, but we know from the Gospels, Luke, that Jesus' face shone like the sun from his own intrinsic divinity, showing that he is the source of glory and not just a reflection like Moses. Secondly, in Exodus 24, we see Moses alone could approach God, while the people remained at a distance. But of course Jesus is the mediator of the new covenant. Hebrews argues that while Moses was a faithful servant in God's house, Jesus is the son over the house. Under the old covenant, the people were terrified of devouring fire in Exodus 24:17. But the better mediator has opened up a new and living way for Christians to draw near with confidence to the throne of grace. That's something that the Israelites can never do. Then there was the symbolism of 40 days. Moses' 40-day fast on the mountain, verse 18, prefigures the New Testament events, such as the temptation of Christ. You remember, before starting his public ministry, Jesus fasted in the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights, Matthew chapter 4. While Israel failed their 40-year test in the wilderness, Jesus succeeded, proving his worthiness to inaugurate or start the new covenant. And then the 40-day period also reminds us of Jesus remaining on the earth 40 days after his resurrection. We know that from Acts chapter 1. Providing instruction and preparation for the disciples and a period before the birth of the church at Pentecost. And then finally, in this passage, Exodus 24 reminds us of the inauguration of the new covenant. Exodus 24 involves Moses sprinkling the blood of the covenant. Read that in verse 8. And of course, Jesus said in the upper room of the cup, as he took the bread and the cup specifically, "This cup is the new covenant in my blood." And Hebrews 9 compares these two events. Notice that whilst the first covenant was started with the blood of animals, the new covenant was sealed with the far superior blood of Christ. And so the four things that are contrasted are the 6 days, Jesus as the ultimate mediator, the 40 days period, and the new covenant which was started. So I trust that these thoughts would help us to see the connection between Exodus 24 and the New Testament truths that have been taught. Thank you for listening.